Hi there.
What time do we think we want it to be?
Can I get your name?
Only one parent quietly spat on the electric chair.
Okay. What happened here?
The necessary but perhaps impossible notion of the nation-state works towards the rhetoric of synesthesia.
I see. I give up.
Utter nonsense loves to laugh.
Warning. Security cleared. Vicar.
Oh God, what a mess. Nothing unusual found on the body, Central. Estimation on time of death?
The climate control in the specimen lab is compromising your sensors. Ambient temperature is just above freezing.
Biohazard trefoil on these isn't encouraging.
Was soll da schon schief gehen?
I haven't examined the body properly yet. Nothing unusual found on the body, Central. I haven't examined... Update, Central.
What is the situation, Dr. Lau?
Dr. Baxter is certainly dead. He's been decapitated, and not cleanly either.
His head has been removed.
More like destroyed. At a glance, this would be the most likely cause of death.
What is your estimation of the incident, Dr. Lau?
There's too much we can't say for sure. We don't know precisely when Baxter was murdered. We can't even be sure that this was the cause of death.
That is a fair assessment. A clearer picture will no doubt follow the autopsy.
Don't send in anyone yet. I still need to carry out a preliminary.
I understand. Continue your investigation of events surrounding the incident.
Understood. Lau out. I hope I can find something to get Regis off the hook.
Nun, eine gute alte analoge Videokamera würde da wahrscheinlich schon helfen. Beziehungsweise hätte geholfen, wenn sie mitgelaufen wäre, als es passiert ist.
I'm going to need to find where he sits. It doesn't have any DNA to sample. Looks like Regis didn't hide any data in that one.
Okay, das war nicht der richtige.
Excuse me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy.
I can't get into the airlock.
The airlock and the growth lab are secure areas. We grow potentially hazardous organisms beyond those doors.
I'm trying to conduct an investigation here. Don't make me get a warrant from Central.
I'm sorry, Central would likely agree with us. We can't just give anyone access to the growth lab.
Not even a cell agent?
I'd need a pretty damn good reason.
I tried talking to your intern. It wasn't helpful.
Oh, never mind that. He's got aphasia.
Isn't that treatable?
Oh, yes. He just gave it to himself. It's what the kids are into these days.
Crippling neurological disorders?
Yes and no. Maladism, they call it. They give themselves old diseases. It only lasts about a week each time.
And you let him do that?
He's not public-facing, and as long as it doesn't get in the way of his work. I figure we all did things the old folks thought were stupid back when we were kids.
Das ist nicht einfach nur dumm. Das ist eine ganz neue Form von dumm.
I need to ask Meester about the tampered specimens. How do I cure his aphasia?
Well, you wouldn't really cure it. He doesn't actually have the disease. It's essentially wetware designed to occupy the Wernicke and Broca regions of the brain. This then produces the symptoms of the disease. That's what they're going for.
I can't wait a week for the wetware to break down.
Find a way to break it down early then. If we've got an emergency contamination, we use hydroxypyruvate isomerase. It's an enzyme that instructs the fabricators in wetware to disassemble themselves.
Have you found...
There was a batch of orchidation.
And...
I can't remember. I do remember that it had red raw and produced lard. Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll...
I'd better not. If I start taking every single specimen, I'll be here for days. I've taken a DNA sample from it. I've taken a DNA sample from it. I've taken a DNA sample from it. Looks like Regis didn't hide any data in that one.
Oh Gott.
Looks like Regis... Looks like Regis did... What is this stuff? Better trance up some data on it.
Eines der wenigen bekannten Beispiele für außerirdisches Leben. X-Tesadi wurde als erstes auf Tesards Komet in 2055 bei der A3 Survey Probe Mission gefunden. Ähnlich in vielen Aspekten zu irdischen Pilzen ist dies geglaubt, dass es eine Art konvergente Evolution und Panspermie ist. Ah ja. Auf jeden Fall wächst es in der irdischen Atmosphäre extrem schnell und stellt ein großes ökologisches Risiko dar. Während es sehr danach gesucht wird für Studium, werden die Proben sehr überwacht, was ein Hindernis für die Forschung darstellt. Um versehentliche Wachstumsauslösung zu verhindern, wird dieser Organismus als Growth Matrix gesteuert, gelagert, und man lässt das nur in sehr vorsichtig kontrollierten Laborbedingungen wachsen, was das Risiko deutlich reduziert, um etwas zu verhindern, das als die mundanste denkbare außerirdische Invasion vorstellbar wurde. Du bist nicht...
Better not. It might tell the lab director. Engineering would be so industrial. It's like a factory line. much engineering was done with so much tape and wrenches. I can't figure out what any of these tools are for.
Ist doch egal, nimm sie einfach mit. Nein, da können wir uns nicht Hardware einklinken. Das bringt auch nichts. Ich denke, ich übersehe irgendwas, aber was? Blueberry?
Gucke gerade.
Ah, ich wollte gerade fragen, ob du mal wieder dein Mikrofon ausgeschaltet hast.
I better not. If I start taking...
So, hattest du jetzt die Pflanzen schon? Moment.
Welche Pflanzen? Es gibt hier ein paar mehr.
Durch den ersten Raum mit Dr. Chico herum führt mir erst einmal die blaue Pflanze neben dem DNS-Sequencer zwischen den beiden Türen gleich hinter dem ersten Raum und die gelbe da direkt im Vordergrund.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
Okay.
I've taken a DNA... Looks like Regis didn't hide any... Looks like Regis didn't hide any data in that one.
Ich glaube, jetzt habe ich langsam alle abgeklappert.
Is that all?
For now.
Then if you...
Ah, okay, die Beschreibung ist zufällig.
Aha. Aha. Super.
Hatte sie nicht was, so eine rote Pflanze mit großen Früchten und...
Mit runden Früchten und breiten Blättern.
Was ist denn mit den Bäumen, die hinten im Raum stehen bei ihr?
Die habe ich schon als allererstes gesampelt, die sind's nicht.
I better not. If I...
Weil ich meine, der hat ja große Früchte in rote...
Aber wir können es gerne nochmal machen.
I've taken a DNA...
Sind das beides die gleichen Bäume?
Ja.
I've taken a DNA... Looks like Regis didn't hide any... Looks like
Doch doof, Mann.
I better not. If I start to...
Die haben zwar eine rote Blüte, aber ganz definitiv keine runde Frucht. Gesampelt habe ich sie sonst auch schon. Die hier sind nicht rot.
Kommst du an den Baum da oben ran?
Nein, der hat keinen Hitpoint. Aber dann besuchen wir doch mal Fulcrum Technologies. Fulcrum Tower.
Dr. Lau, so good to see you again, my dear.
Dr. Vargas, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Certainly, my dear. Anything I can do to help.
What would you describe your role here as, Dr. Vargas? This is publicly available information, Dr. Lau.
Now, Galatea, it is a reasonable question. For the past 18 years, I've held the role of controller of centralized government. I ensure that Central, our city governance CI, is functioning within parameters.
What would you say your political function within the city is?
None at all. The elected council formulates city policy. It is merely Central's role to execute this and ensure the day-to-day well-being of the city.
And it is Dr. Vargas's role to maintain Central's operations. Surely you're already aware of this, Dr. Lau. Just wanted to get it from the source.
Sometimes our desire to remain outside the political spectrum has led to rumors. We are not, however, the secret puppet masters behind the government of Newton.
I shouldn't count you as my boss, then. Dr. Lau.
Heavens no, my dear. If anything, we are equals on an administrative footing. Central acts as director for both of our operations, though.
Also eine andere Frage. Hat Galatea eigentlich eine andere Funktion, außer daneben zu stehen und zu nüllen?
Naja, möglicherweise, falls mal jemand auf ihn einen Attentat vorhat, als Kugelfang oder so, keine Ahnung.
How long have you known Dr. Regis?
Since 2067, he joined a research project of mine. He was a good man then, very principled.
And now?
I have no doubt goodness remains. Though since joining CEL, I feel that he expresses this solely through his work.
Do you know about his garden on Tier 42 of this building?
Ah, yes. I've been there myself a couple of times. Though I hope we can keep that between us, Dr. Lau.
What did you think of it?
It is certainly an interesting way of coping with grief. Though that it has lasted so long is perhaps cause for concern.
What can you tell me about this incident?
Currently not a great deal, hence why you have been tasked with this investigation. Dr. Baxter has been found murdered in his workplace, and Dr. Regis was caught entering and leaving the facility by their security infrastructure.
How about a background to the case? A history?
Baxter has been responsible for the murder of Viksha Regis.
Charles Regis's wife.
He was caught and convicted, and until recently had been serving a sentence for the crime.
I'm aware of this so far, yes.
He had recently been paroled with the Vickerman Corporation as his sponsor. I can only imagine Regis's feelings on the matter.
Violent, no doubt.
But I knew Charlie Regis, and I know what kind of man he was. Justice is his motivator, but with his background out in the hot zones.
You worry that this might have been his idea of justice?
Precisely. That, my dear, is why I need you to investigate this case before Central jumps to any conclusions to the matter.
You mentioned Regis's wife, Viksha.
Ah, yes, Vicky. She was a student of mine in the 50s in Buenos Aires. She spent several years working for the UN in hot zones around the world. When she had finished, she was the natural choice for the project I was just commencing.
He never really spoke about her.
They were very much in love. It pains me greatly to see a man so afflicted by a loss.
She was a engineer as well?
Yes and no. She specialized in organic computing, a field perhaps more closely aligned to your own.
Though Regis has an obvious motive, can you think of anyone else who might have a reason to do this?
I shall be honest. Dr. Baxter was not an easy man to work with. There were many who disliked him in his time, though none I knew could call him his enemy.
You mentioned a project that Viksha was recruited for. I'm afraid that's classified.
Galatea, how can we help if we block every question? It was a project that utilized the expertise of both Viksha and Charles. Essentially, we were studying organic interfacing and large-scale computing.
Large scale, as in city coordination intelligences, like Central?
On this matter, I can answer no further. As a scientist 20 years ago, he was peerless in his field.
But as a human being?
He did not take refusal well. This apparently is what led to his breakdown.
And the murder that followed that.
Precisely. I have not spoken to him personally since the trial, however. I'm afraid I couldn't enlighten you about his recent state of mind.
I examined Dr. Baxter's body at the laboratory. What did you find? He's been decapitated. His head smashed in.
My goodness!
I've taken initial readings, but they're proving inconclusive, even time of death. The lab's environment is throwing the chromatographs. Once he's been moved to cell for autopsy, we should get a clearer picture of what happened. Dr. Vargas, I really need to ask. In my office, why did you cut Central's feed? That's classified, Dr. Lau.
I'm afraid I cannot give you a complete answer on that subject. But a number of factors regarding yesterday's network attack have raised concerns. Not least the timing. It may be that Central's administration has been compromised.
You believe it's linked to Baxter's murder? What makes you say that? You cut the camera when talking to me about it. You were concerned that whoever may have compromised Central would find out what we were discussing.
Ha! Well, I have no fear of the quality of Cell's investigative staff now.
I learned from the best. It's a fantastic view from up here.
Isn't it? That's why I choose to work from up here.
The only part higher in Fulcrum Tower is Central's operating center. You could probably see all the way to Mombasa on a clear day. I'm certainly aware of your role in the city, Dr. Vargas. But who is your lovely assistant?
Of course, you haven't been properly introduced. This is my daughter, Galatea. She fills the role of my administrative support.
I'm being groomed for succession, apparently.
Oh, don't put it like that. You make it sound so dynastic. That certainly is not what we wish to represent.
What was your field before going into politics?
I was a computer scientist and a lecturer at Buenos Aires. In the 60s, the government of Newton was looking for research administrators. It eventually transpired that this role in itself was a kind of test.
The city council was looking for suitable individuals to manage Newton's new CI. Central?
Yes and no. It was what eventually became Central.
Dr. Vargas, have you heard of mind-jacking? Excuse me?
I'm afraid I have not, Dr. Lau. What is it?
It's the case Regis and I were working on lately. A number of individuals had their brains flash-wiped by a destructive copying technique.
That sounds most appalling, Dr. Lau. Does it pertain to this case?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. It might give someone a reason to frame Regis, though. Especially if they thought that we were getting too close.
So, perhaps Regis is a victim of attempted character assassination. To use Baxter as a means of doing so would be drastic.
Why don't you believe that Dr. Regis is responsible for Baxter's death?
I cannot say for certain that he is not, Dr. Lau. I simply hold on to the hope that he is not.
My investigation has brought up an interesting find. It appears that while he was at the lab, Regis took the time to alter some of the specimens there.
Really? That is most peculiar.
Even more so, he appears to have hidden a quaternary data string in the genomes of these subjects. What does the data contain? An audio-visual message, but it's still fragmented. I believe that Regis was trying to leave a message directed at myself regarding what happened.
This is a remarkable find, Dr. Lau. Please, continue your work. This may clear up what really happened in that laboratory.
While I was speaking to Dr. Chigwa, she told me about Central. Apparently both Charlie and Viksha Regis were involved in its creation. Dr. Lau, that's classified.
I believe we can trust her, Galatea. Indeed, I brought Viksha onto the project at its inception. She recommended Charlie. They were not married at this stage.
This is unbelievable. He doesn't exactly have a high regard for Central.
I suppose I can sympathize. It is an unhappy association for him. Yet he will not allow himself the glorious reputation and history he deserves as one of those who created Central, an AI like none before.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. You've been most helpful.
Anything I can do to help.
You should have made an appointment. I'm glad I had my fear of heights turned off.
Die Information, wer die Stadtverwaltungs-KI entwickelt hat, ist geheim. Klar, so baut man Vertrauen. So baut man Vertrauen, definitiv. Irgendwo anders hin oder? Nein.
Sorry, Regis. A physical photograph. The team. February 2067. Regis is probably the only person I know who'd want his picture on paper. I guess defacing a digital one just isn't the same. Hey, there's Dr. Chigwa as well. Nah, I've already got it set up just right. Better not. It might tell the lab director.
Sonst mit... Ja.
Excuse me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy.
So, how do I build more of the message?
You've got to use the sampling tool to get DNA from the plants around the lab. The sampler can take 3 readings before it needs to be reloaded. In some areas of the lab, the atmospheric controls will prevent the reading being taken.
Apparently, he wants me to find certain samples. I've got to think about where I'm going to find them.
Darn right. We've got a whole lot of A right now.
I need to ask Meester about the tampered specimens. How do I cure his aphasia?
Well, it's essentially wet. This then produces the...
I can't wait a week for...
Find a way. It's an enzyme that
I can't... I'm trying... Don't...
We can't...
Not even... Have you found anything else with added genetic data?
As a matter of fact, I have. There was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth...
And?
I brought and produced... Is that all?
For now.
Then if...
No answer.
Hätte ja klappen können.
Dr. Lau, please continue. Your involvement has been requested by the highest levels of civil government. Please find data relevant to the case on your secure system at cell headquarters.
Die sind ja alle super hilfreich.
Natürlich sind die hilfreich, das hast du erwartet.
I'd better not. I've already got leads to follow.
Okay. Du bist ja in der die Luftschleuse am Hinterende des Raums, wo Niester steht, ne?
Ja.
Da kommst du ja nicht durch, wegen dem Security-Level.
Ja.
Da musst du dich mit deiner Wettwehr einhaken.
Ach, da geht das dann.
Da geht das dann.
Warning, security clearance not.
Come on.
New security profile created. Access granted. Welcome, Dr. Lau.
Thanks. This could be useful. Looks like a lot of cartridges for the injector.
Ach du heilige Scheiße.
Was denn?
Was davon geben wir ihm denn jetzt?
Ich nehme an, du willst nicht alles ausprobieren?
Also ich glaube, Kaliumchlorid könnte ihn töten. Und ich
Du
bin-
solltest
Genau,
Du solltest Hydroxypyruvate Isomerase mitnehmen.
I hear taxi drivers make the best coffee.
Really? How interesting.
Beached questions, you injector.
Say that again?
Overpass, did you stick me with an injector? Now I'll have to get my aphasia reject. Not cool, man.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
I'm CS Dr. Lau. I've been tasked with this investigation.
Martin Easter. I've been tasked with the factory lab.
You work with Dr. Chikwa?
I work for Chikwa. I'm just the intern. Means I get stuck with all the lousy jobs she won't do.
I understand. I was an intern once.
So, what's CS? You're a detective?
Case specialist. So, yes, I guess you could say that.
Cool.
I'd like to hear from you what happened.
So, we came in this afternoon for the late shift, right? I check on the factory line, and it turns out the specimens are nuked up.
In what sense?
They don't match the catalog anymore. Not that they're supposed to be. I figured Baxter nuked it up again, so I checked the feed.
That's when you found the body?
Yeah, but Chigwa won't let me get a look. Told me to get back to work while she called Sam. Hey, can I get a look at the body with you?
I'm afraid not. Official procedure stuff.
Bummer.
Why did you go and give yourself aphasia?
Not just that. There are loads of syndromes. It's maladies, man.
Aren't diseases like that dangerous, though?
It's not permanent, man. We ain't stupid. What wear nodes in the body create the symptoms of things we want, which you went and broke. Gee, thanks.
Sorry about that. In any case, they're temporary then.
Exactly.
I still don't get it. What's the hook for maladism?
Man, you old folk never get things like MD.
Old?
Most of these syndromes are diseases that are completely curable. They just don't happen anymore. Society says no to them.
So it's countercultural? An act of rebellion?
Exactly. Diseases like that make the establishment uncomfortable. They don't want it to be a part of their society. But we show them they can't ever get rid of it completely.
You're rubbing their faces in it then.
And in another way, it's kind of retro. Illnesses like that are what shape society. The Black Death made Europe what it is.
Gotta appreciate the classics.
For a lot of us, it's also about who's hardest. Posers go for little things like botulism or influenza. But you know someone's got real nose on them if they can stand a month with HIV.
Wow.
So, what
you're
other
lost,
diseases have you
man.
tried?
Loads of them. Parkinson's, syphilis, tuberculosis. Last month, it was Hansen's disease.
Wait, leprosy?
Yeah, if you're a Zift, Hansen's is the real name.
Sounds like quite a selection.
That's why I came to study on Newton. Eurofed's just starting to get into MD culture, even talking about banning it. Newton's where it's at for it. You guys are a lot cooler about what you let people do.
On an individual basis, certainly. That's pretty much the founding philosophy here. Dr. Chigwa tells me that some of the specimens have been tampered.
Oh yeah, I found one of those. Man, couldn't they have just killed the guy without messing up my work?
I need to find it. Which specimen was it?
Oh, a Coruscant Brasilia. When I found it, I just thought Baxter was nuking it up again.
What did you do with it?
I just sent it back to the specimen lab. Should be there in the sample store.
How do young people go about getting sick these days?
It's a lot harder, but that shows it's a choice. We use wetware to create symptoms, like the aphasia. The wetware I had for that was programmed to lodge in the Broca and Wernicke regions of the brain.
So it's not really Broca's aphasia.
Same symptoms though.
You'd buy wetware nodes from shops?
Nah, find hobby GG programmers through the trance. They're always looking to sell. It's like a contest. They're always releasing new syndromes, competing with each other. You looking to get into it?
Not really my scene, thanks. What do you think of Dr. Chigwa?
She's a hard ass, but she knows what she's doing. Kinda thinks she feels wasted working here.
What can you tell me about Dr. Baxter?
Not much. He only started here a couple of weeks ago. Chigwa dropped him in the specimen lab and kinda left him here.
She neglected him?
Nah, he just barely left. Could have been a workaholic, but I think he just couldn't focus on anything else.
Did he ever talk about his past with you?
Man, he didn't even talk to me, period, about anything.
What's your
He didn't talk much. One nuked up guy. Chigwa told me he'd been released from jail. Looked like he had a governor in his head.
That's correct. It affected his behavior?
Dude, that's an understatement. That Malkin was like a zombie. One time, I dropped the whole sample tray in his leg. Anyone else would have yelled at me. He started to get mad, then looked just about ready to puke.
The governor inhibited violent thought. He'd been serving a murder sentence.
Oh, no way. Who'd he whack?
That's confidential.
Man, that's unfair. You're a tease.
Remind me, what was that specimen you found?
Jeez, what are you, senile? It was a Coruscant Brasileira.
All right.
Cordillera Brasileira, oder wie immer man das ausspricht. Dann holen wir uns das Ding doch mal.
I can't inject that.
Warte, ich will es ja auch nicht injecten, ich will doch die DNA-Probe ziehen. Das ist das andere Tool, verdammt. Verdammt!
I've taken a DNA sample from it. It worked.
Trying to explain that.
I'm going to need to find where he's hidden the rest of the message before I get any sense out of it.
Eine Lautlösung ist das, was auch immer sie beschreibt, in der Regel in ihrer Nähe.
Verdammt, ich will doch nicht den Injektor, verdammt.
DNA sample from it. I've taken a DNA sample from it. There's nothing in here. I've taken a DNA sample from it. There, I've planted the growth matrix. Let's hope I got Mom's green fingers.
Warte, ich will nicht ins Production Lab. Verdammt, 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 verdammt. Verdammt.